What up, all my fight fans? UFC 317 is in the books, and what a main event we had. Oh my God. We got ourselves a new, undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Ilia Topuria. And not just did he win the belt, but he won the belt and made a huge statement in the division. And his career. I mean, God, what can this guy not do? You know, he knocks out Volkanovski, he knocks out Max Holloway, and now he first round knocks out Charles Oliveira. Something that very few people ever have done. You know, Volkanovski got the knockout from Islam Makhachev in the lightweight division. No one touched him at featherweight. No one's ever even knocked down Max Holloway, let alone knock out. And Charles Oliveira has been stopped before. Charles Oliveira has been submitted. Charles Oliveira has been KO'd. But never to that extent like Ilia Topuria did. Ilia Topuria is just an unstoppable machine right now. The guy is a superstar. You know, it looked like Charles Oliveira was just so nervous. Charles Oliveira was so, I don't know what he was, but he just almost did not look like 100% himself. And I'm not trying to take away from anything from Ilia Topuria. Maybe it was actually Ilia Topuria that psyched Charles Oliveira out. Or maybe Charles Oliveira was so overconfident. I don't know what the case is, but Ilia Topuria made it look so easy, so flawless. You can't help but think there was something wrong. No one's ever done that to Charles. No one's ever stopped him in the first round like that. You know, Charles Oliveira was able to get him down. Charles Oliveira was able to do some grappling. We know I got a little nervous in that little heel hook that he had. I was like, oh my God, looks like he might get him in a little heel hook. But no, you know, Charles Oliveira stood in the pocket with them, which rightfully so. Charles Oliveira does got good hands. We saw what he was able to do to Michael Chandler. We saw he was able to drop Justin Gaethje. We saw he was able to do some damage to these the lightweight contenders that he has faced in his past. But Ilia Topuria is just a different beast. Ilia Topuria is just a different animal. The guy literally cannot be stopped at this moment. He really impressed me to knock out Charles Oliveira, to not really ground and pound and stop him, but he literally KO'd him with one shot, and it's incredible. It's really incredible. Congratulations to the champion of the world, Ilia Topuria. So what is next? Well, speaking of next, we saw Paddy the Baddy come into the cage and them two talking trash to each other. If you guys remember years and years ago, these guys were actually had a little bit of a backstage confrontation where they were throwing stuff at each other, where they were trying to hit each other. Then, of course, at the press conference, they were actually talking smack to each other. So there's been a lot of bad blood building up between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria. You know, so that could be an interesting fight. You still got Arman Tsarukyan. You still got Justin Gaethje. You still got all kinds of great contenders in the lightweight divisions, but I think the biggest one you can do is Paddy Pimblett, because Paddy is probably the biggest star outside of Ilia Topuria in the lightweight division. You know, Paddy is going on a bit of a winning streak himself, and he's looking good. So I guess in some ways the time is now. Now, Dana White said in a previous interview, in the post-fight interview, he wasn't too happy with Paddy going into the cage, and he wasn't quite sure what's going to be happening next. But I can't see any other way, unless it's Arman Tsarukyan, who was the backup fighter for this fight. I could see that potentially happening. I could see Arman Tsarukyan getting a nod, because he was originally supposed to get a championship fight, but he ended up missing weight against Islam Makhachev back in January. Now he made weight to be the backup fighter, and of course the fight ended up taking place anyways. So that could say something. But who knows what's going to happen next. We just know that Ilia Topuria made a huge statement in the lightweight division, and I am very much looking forward to seeing him defend his belt multiple times within the division. What's next for Charles Oliveira? Well, Charles Oliveira, he's always going to be a contender. Charles Oliveira is always going to be a champ. Charles Oliveira is always going to be around and tough as hell, like he always is. I mean, he still has a few fights in there he could do. There could possibly potentially be a rematch with Arman Tsarukyan, because that fight feels like if it would have went 5 rounds, it could have gone Charles Oliveira's way, but you never know. Could potentially be a rematch with Justin Gaethje, even though I don't necessarily see it, really, just due to the fact that, you know, he just was able to dominate Justin Gaethje so easily in the first round. And of course, it could potentially be a rematch. I think it is actually a rematch between the winner of Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway, because I believe, of course, we know Dustin Poirier had fought Charles Oliveira for the lightweight strap. It did not go his way. And we know Max Holloway, I think, even KO'd or stopped Charles Oliveira in the featherweight division. So there's still potential good matchups for Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira isn't going nowhere, guys. But But you guys let me know what should be next for Ilia Topuria and for Charles Oliveira. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.